Actually, I left off.
Welcome to DRTSPR show. This is Dr. Tangella Shivaprasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR. Namaste, Adab, hello, and a warm welcome to Ravichandran Swaminathan ji and all the viewers. Yesterday, we have done a crucial aspect, the democracy and the emergency. Parliament was discussing and passing all Mr. Om Birla speaker. I don't understand. Yes, very well understood, I think, after the yesterday's show. They are all condemning 26/19/75 June proclamation of emergency by Indira Gandhi in the name of public interest, blah, blah, blah. Fine, we condemn infringement of fundamental rights. So many leaders were jailed. And people of India, the voters, taught Indira Gandhi a lesson also. But after that, she recovered. But why is that Modi and Amit Shah government sponsored and by Chandrababu Naidu, Janasena, actor Pavan Kalyan, which Ravichandran was reminding me, there is actor also, don't forget. So, actor Pavan Kalyan and Nitish Kumar ji of JDU, this sponsored government, how come it ignored their own amendment to the telecom policy 2023, which has come into use from the same 26th June 2024 onwards. How these incidents are different, I don't understand. How can these two incidents be different? Proclamation of emergency by Indira Gandhi on 26/6/1975 and coming into the policy amendment coming into use on the same 26th June 2024 when the House, the Parliament, newly elected Parliament, 17th Lok Sabha was condemning Indira Gandhi's emergency. Is this not emergency, Mr. Modi, Amit Shah, Mr. Om Birla Speaker? The way again you are continuing, taking off the mic of the opposition and all, forcing them to go out and opposition should not go out. At least they have started to discuss NEET issue, which always concerned India. Education, without education, already Ravichandran has read something from South Africa on that university. Without education, what happens? And without education, health, what it will happen, medical education and then health. In the same lines, what was left out yesterday in our telecom bill is a major issue. Apart from privacy, invading privacy, there is no privacy. They can intercept, they can block all telecom companies and they can intercept messages of every citizen in the name of public interest, public safety. Everything they can do. They have bypassed the old Telegraphic Act and those other prevailing acts. We don't know why. Because Parliament doesn't discuss. In the same vein, there is also 2 lakhs penalty for commercially sending messages to the customer if they don't wish. But underneath that, there is a big issue, very big issue, I tell you. It is as good as invading your privacy. Privacy was individual. But this issue, the entire family is jolted into that. And the repercussions of such that it will take away all the peace of mind, because when there is no health, nothing is there. We will listen to Ravichandran Swaminathan ji, what it is all about. The most important aspect. Yes, sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy. So the point that I was trying to make was very simple. Section 10 of the Telecom Act, Section 10 and 11 and 12 of the Telecom Act, it gives the right of way for telecommunication networks. What does this right of telecom networks essentially mean is that just as the government has got the power to take your house or take away your property to build roads or for some other similar purpose. Now, right of way for telecommunication network means that telecommunication networks have got the right to lay cables ducting, erect towers, either on your house or through your house, if it is required. It is supposed to happen voluntarily. And you can demand compensation for that. You can demand some rent for that. Fine. The ducting will go through your house if required. It will go through your bedroom and bathroom if required. Oh, you can collect a rent for that. Government doesn't mind that. The government has given you that privilege of collecting rent and permitting telecommunication networks to enter your house. And it is supposed to be done voluntarily. Wonderful. Now, suppose you are objecting to that. You don't want that rent and you are objecting to that. The government will simply step in and they will dictate the conditions under which you can voluntarily, where you are compelled to voluntarily surrender your house or property for that purpose. You are compelled voluntarily.
Compelled voluntarily. That is a great word. You have, it's a great synonym. Yeah.
So now, if the government wants, if the telecommunication network feels that only by erecting a cell tower above your terrace, they can communicate, then they are permitted to do that. And suppose there are repairs to be done, maintenance to be done, charges, electrical wiring, anything, then your property and your house must be open 24/7. It must be kept available to the telecommunication engineers 24/7, so they can come in and do the repairs whenever they want it. Because remember, telecommunication is an essential service. So whether you like it, whether you don't like it, whether you are sleeping, whether you are bathing, whether you are having a personal conversation with your wife, nothing matters. They have to be given access, they will be given access. And of course, you can collect a rent for that.
For disturbing us.
For disturbing you. For using your premises, for using your house or whatever it is. And of course, you can always sell the property and go away. That is also your choice. It may be an ancestral property. It may be yours for the last 150 years. But still, you have got that option of selling the house and going. Maybe the telecommunication, maybe Reliance Jio will purchase it. We don't know. So, essentially, Section 10 and 11 says telecommunication networks have the right of way for your property. They can erect towers, they can lay cables, they can run ducting through your house, through which optic fibers go. And in case the erection of towers, naturally there will be microwave emission from the towers.
You should not question.
And it is likely to cause cancer to you. You can always collect the rent for that. You can always collect the rent from the government for giving you cancer.
Wonderful.
So they don't mind about it. They are not particularly mindful about that. Can you go to the earlier this thing? So actually, what has changed? 26 June 1975, you had an emergency to protect the integrity and sovereignty of India. 26 June 2024, Mr. Narendra Modi gives effect to the Telecom Act 2023, which contains draconian laws, which empowers the government to take certain steps to protect the integrity and sovereignty of the country and in public. What has changed now? Earlier, it was the Defense of India rules and maintenance of internal security. Today, it is the Telecom Act. That's all. There's absolutely no difference. People who repeat history, people who don't study history tend to repeat it. There is no point in, then 50 years down the line, of course, some other government will stand up in parliament and say that 2024 was a black day in history because on 26th June 2024, on the 50th anniversary of emergency, another emergency was declared. 50 years down the line, somebody will stand in silence and pray for us, pray for the people who died because of cancer. That is the only change. Unfortunate thing is, nobody is protesting.
Whether they have understood this, see, as we are doing the second one in series, I have a serious doubt whether they have understood it or not.
I don't know. Mr. Rahul Gandhi stands up in parliament and talks about saving the constitution. Just by talking about saving the constitution will not save the constitution. Where are the opposition leaders who are educated to take on the government, debate and discuss? Half the time they are prepared to run away from the parliament. They are more interested in talking about things outside the parliament. What about discussing?
P. Chidambaram, he was the ex-finance minister and the legal luminary. Many are there. Principal is the
his son is president now. His son is an MP now.
Yeah.
What happened to all these stalwarts? Kapil Sibal, he's a Rajya Sabha member. Why doesn't he talk about it?
He's also Bar Association president now. So
he's also the Supreme Court Bar Association president. Why doesn't he file a case in the Supreme Court about this?
Draconian Telecom Act.
What about the press people? Why are they keeping silent? What about the electronic media? Why doesn't Arnab talk about it in Republic, saying that the nation wants to know?
Yeah.
Looks like he doesn't want the nation to know about this.
Maybe he's on the right side, so no one will bother him because there is nothing he speaks against the government. Something.
So I don't know. If you speak against the government, maybe he's afraid that the government will shut him down under this Telecom Act.
It has to be understood. It is not against the government. It is the policy. Who is government? They are our public servants, right? From Prime Minister, Chief Minister. Are they going to change this definition also? Supreme Court has clearly come out that there is no immunity on corruption charges against elected representatives, whether it is Lok Sabha or Assembly. So keeping all these things in their mind, you think this is what they are trying to give it back?
Can you go to the next slide?
Earlier one or next?
No, next one. So now the government, like I said yesterday, earlier, the reasonable restrictions. And what are reasonable restrictions? Blocking, detaining, intercepting, compelling disclosure. It gives the government the powers to intercept and detain any press message from any correspondent accredited to the central or the state government. It is all reasonable restrictions. And the word reasonable restrictions, we should thank Pandit Nehru for that. Because he was the one who introduced reasonable restrictions in the First Amendment in the Constitution. Restrictions on freedom of speech. And here I want to talk about the role of the Supreme Court also. My right to privacy was a primordial right. It takes part in the word dignity, where the preamble of the Constitution says that we, the people, have come together to give ourselves laws to conduct our life in dignity. That implied the word privacy. So privacy was a primordial right. Now Supreme Court stepped in and said that no, privacy is not a primordial right. It is only a fundamental right which is coming under Article 21 and Article 19. Now, if you remember right, we had a discussion on this on your channel also earlier.
Yeah.
And I told them that this right, if you make the right to privacy a fundamental right, then it gives the right to the government to put reasonable restrictions on that.
Yes,
just like they did on freedom of speech. Okay, here is the reasonable restriction. your right to communicate is now reasonably restricted. And on what grounds?
Flimsy.
Flimsy grounds. Can you go to the next slide, please?
Before I go to this, yeah, please go ahead.
Now, what are the grounds? It is public emergency. It is in the interest of public safety. That is, the government is so bothered about your safety that it does not give you the right to talk about it.
Your own safety, you are not aware.
You are not supposed to talk about it.
Right. But on the name of your safety, they can impose.
They have blocked it.
Wonderful.
Sovereignty and integrity of India, yes, I can understand that. Defense and security of the state, yes, I can understand that. Friendly relations with foreign countries, okay, I can understand that also. You don't want me to criticize Maldives. You don't want me to criticize America. Fine, that is okay by me.
But they criticize Maldives and again they become friends. As and when they become friends, again you have to support them. When they criticize, you have to criticize. Okay. Right.
Public order. Public order. So, if there is going to be a public order, then the government can step in and ban all communications. They can take over the communication channel itself and they can manage it. I don't know, during the emergency, there was a minister, Shukla, I think his name was Shukla. He was the information minister at that time. And he took in charge of everything, including producing movies in Bollywood. We are having a similar, now the government is empowered to do that. And who is going to decide that? Some faceless bureaucrat, unelected, non-elected, who is not responsible, not accountable to any person, to any people's mandate. He is going to decide about your right to communication. So now what happened to the right to privacy or the freedom of speech? It was a fundamental right subject to reasonable restrictions. Now that reasonable restrictions is being decided by a faceless bureaucrat. I remember about this. When I talk about all this, I remember a book called 1984 written by George Orwell. I don't know if you have read it.
No, I do not.
There the word that they speak is newspeak. The language that they speak is called newspeak. And the newspeak meaning, you'll go to the next slide, you will get some of the words used there. Dictionary, newspeak dictionary.
Yeah.
Newspeak dictionary, 1984, war is peace. Freedom is slavery. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. What we are looking at now, ignorance is strength. Big brother is watching you. And he knows what is required of you. He is more bothered about your safety that he doesn't even want you to talk about it.
We have to add another one.
He is so careful about your health, he doesn't want you to talk about it.
Another one also we should add, compelled voluntarily.
Compelled voluntarily. And today in 2024, what is the dictionary says? You have to sacrifice your freedom of speech in public interest.
Wonderful.
You have to sacrifice your right to property for public good. Your home is no longer your castle. It is your prison. So don't have a home. You can live in a tent. Fundamental rights are privileges which are given by the government. So it is no longer we, the people who have come together to give ourselves a constitution. No, it is a privilege. It is given by the government to you. And if it is a privilege given by the government, it can be taken by the government also. It is no longer fundamental. Privacy is conferred by the government. It is not absolute now. Privacy is conferred by the government. Originally, it was a primordial right. The Supreme Court reduced it to a fundamental right, and the government reduced it even further and says it is not absolute. It can be subjected to reasonable restrictions.
Wonderful. What a way you have brought
it. Right of privacy is no longer your right. It is a privilege conferred by the government. It is not absolute. This is the newspeak of 2024.
Wonderful.
And judiciary, week back, one of the high courts, I think probably Orissa, they reduced the life sentence of a child rapist. You remember we did that, sinners, every sinner
Yes.
has a future. 3-4 days back, Orissa High Court has reduced death sentence of a rapist to 20 years. 20 years or life imprisonment. On what grounds? You will be surprised. They say that that man prays 5 times a day. And he has got a mother, he has got a wife, and he has got 5 children. So we will not give him the death sentence. And what about the victim? The victim is of no consequence.
The victim is not praying 5 times a day. Though she lost,
victim is dead, so don't bother about it. Disposable, dispensable.
At least her soul rests in peace, not to hear and watch such type of judgments.
What do you tell people? Today we have a situation where the Telecom Act is being put into effect and nobody is talking about it. Why is the Bar Council keeping quiet? Why are the lawyers keeping quiet? Why is the press keeping quiet? Why is the opposition keeping quiet? Are they thinking that tomorrow if they come back to power, they can use these powers to suppress everybody else?
That is what is...
Doesn't the ruling party know? Or maybe they are not going to conduct any elections from now onwards? Or do they think that they are going to keep winning every time, election after election? I don't know. Your listeners of DRTSPR channel should answer.
They should answer. They should come out in lots and lots and answer. Before I go to the other slide, the fundamentals. Here, I just wanted to understand, because many viewers were asking me, does this give them absolute right that they can bulldoze your house? They can take away the built-in house with all proper permissions and all, investing your huge fortune. And if they are invading, if they are trying to disturb the structure, don't you think the house will not be so secure? It will not be stable.
Yes. It gives them the absolute right. The government can bulldoze your house, bulldoze part of your house or your total house to lay down some pipes. And of course, you can claim compensation from them.
So they were already practicing this in Uttar Pradesh, the bulldozer.
Everywhere, yes. So they will give you compensation for it. And what is the compensation? If you negotiate, you can get a good price. If you don't negotiate, the government will say only this much. And you'll be compelled voluntarily to surrender whatever you have got.
Compelled voluntarily, that's a new speak. That is very well going with this show. But if you oppose, you'll get nothing. You'll be thrown on the roads.
You'll get, yeah. They'll bulldoze you along with the house. That's all.
Oh, wonderful. They can bulldoze you. I hope the entire India is listening. What is this nonsense going on? Why don't we elect educated parliamentarians? Before passing a law or before amending the existing law policy, don't you think they should have a proper head on their shoulders? This is what many viewers have been sending me since yesterday, since that show. So I'm trying to proclaim that authoritatively. That is a disclaimer. As Mr. Ravichandran ji yesterday was also touting me, you should have a disclaimer. My disclaimer is very simple and straight. DRTSPR channels run their shows with wonderful guests like Ravichandran SWAMINATHAN ji as per rule of law, Constitution invoking Evidential Act. There is no enmity against individuals, nor animosity against parties or organizations. That is why we stake claim wherever it is and we release a flyer with my mobile number 9440465339 intact so that anyone can deny whatever information if it is affecting them and they can participate on our show they can always disagree, and we are inviting them to participate on our show on the same mobile number. They can WhatsApp the evidences, because we are discussing every issue. He's taking so much of pain to prepare a PowerPoint presentation. In print, we are showing it on your screen. Similar way, you should come out with evidences. Send a mail or send them through WhatsApp to 944046539. This is my disclaimer, because we do our shows in a public interest. This is what public interest all about. We are discussing. Yesterday we discussed, and today also he has clearly discussed what draconian new telecommunication policy coming into use from 26th June 2024, when the parliament was condemning unanimously or rising in voice against what happened on 26th June in 1975 when Indira Gandhi ji proclaimed emergency. But how is that they are ignoring this? Such a draconian law, telecommunication bill, taking away your right to privacy. They can intercept anything. They are overdoing, or they are taking away the old Telegraph Act and all such acts without defining what public safety, what public order is all about, in what is larger public interest, when they are not making every born citizen in this country, who themselves are the constitutional authorities, part and parcel of this act. This is what my question is. Why Supreme Court or all the high courts, all legal luminaries, advocates across India, including Mr. Kapil Sibal, who himself is the Supreme Court Bar Association President, Rajya Sabha member, Mr. Chidambaram, legal luminary, his son elected from Tamil Nadu, why are they keeping silent? That means, are you agreeing that Indian citizens are no more constitutional authority? Are you agreeing to that, right from Prime Minister to Chief Minister, Cabinet Secretary to Chief Secretary, all constitutional bodies, including IPS, IAS and all, they are not public servants? The recently passed ordered Supreme Court very clearly stating that elected public representatives do attract the Corruption Act 1988. They have no immunity, come whatever may. You mean to say you are going to do away with that? What is that? Why are you keeping silent? So last question, sir, on this, before I wind up. Right to house.
Right to property.
To freedom. Right to education. Right to health. What are they, sir? In that now, right to freedom of speech, Article 1921, you said, namaste. Then what about right to housing if they are invading through this new telecom amended policy?
Right to property was removed long back when they said that in the Keshav Bharati case that you don't have a right to property because if government wants to lay a highway, they can lay it through your house. You can't stop that. Today they have added one more thing, right of way to telecommunications. They have added to that. So till today, you can have a cell tower in your house at your discretion. But today it is the government's discretion that matters. It is no longer your discretion. Now the right to erect a cell tower lies with the telecommunications department, not with you. Right? If your property is in a place where the telecommunications experts think that there should be a cell phone tower, they will put it. And they won't bother whether you get cancer, whether you get affected by microwave radiations, whether you go mad because of that. They are not bothered about that. They want a tower, they will erect it.
So you mean to say the ill effects, the adverse effects of erecting such a cell tower or running through your home or your property with such technology, such radio wave material or ducts, whatever you call, right to health, I have a say. Right to life, I have a say. So my right to life, my right to health, both are being infringed in one act. As you rightly said, yes. Right to property taken away in Keshav Bharati's case, thanks to Supreme Court of India.
You are right. You no longer have a right. Your right to health was taken even during the COVID period.
Yeah.
When you were objecting to the vaccines.
Epidemic Act.
What happened? They shut you down, that's all. So what happened to your right to health at that point of time? Today also the same policy applies. In cases of public emergency, public disaster, if you talk against the government, if you dissent against the government, they can shut you down.
But whatever we said, whatever we did, even you are on my channel on regarding COVID, and that has come out true now. Even autopsy is showing the spike protein.
And today Pfizer is being today Pfizer is being sued by about 6 states in US.
Yeah. So what DRTS
states have gone to court against Pfizer. And
what
this is what we told that time.
Yeah. Even you came specifically that night. I still remember having written on that blog, and that night you woke up and you called me, said next day we are doing this show. So that has come out true, Mr. Ravichandran ji. So, Satyameva Jayate. So you mean to say whatever we are doing on DRTSPR channels with wonderful guests like you, so even this is going to be inhibited by these new policies, you mean to say?
Yes, yes.
In two ways.
If the government feels that you're inciting a public opinion, then they have got a right to close you down. If some bureaucrat in Ministry of Home Affairs thinks that you are trying to incite the public, they can close you down.
Is it incitement or disseminating information in a proper way?
You are talking disseminating information. They will think about it as incitement.
Oh,
that is what they did in COVID.
Yeah. At least that now, whatever we have done, that is coming true. Logically, logistically, and very unfortunately, innocent, precious lives were lost. People lost their livelihoods. That is the curse these rulers are going to take, all those administrators. I am not saying this. I have received many messages. They were saying, use this rhetoric. They will be cursed. They will be cursed for loss of precious lives, loss of livelihoods. We are not here to curse or judge anyone. We want to see that the emotions are reduced of those families who have lost their near and dear one. That is why I am phrasing out this rhetoric, so that their minds are peaceful eternally. And our heart goes for all those precious lives who have lost, who are no more. We pray for them. God gives strength to their families. So in one way, what we were doing in the past, trying to discuss, debate, and differ in a democratic way. So that has come true after 2 years, 2.5 years. So that type of discussion will not happen because of this draconian new telecom policy. On one, they will try to inhibit me from doing that. The second is, even if I am doing out of public interest, the entire public is supporting me. All of a sudden, telecommunications personnel will come and say, the cable has to run through your channel, or they have to erect tower on my property. So they will demolish now. This is how I should interpret, Mr. Ravichandran.
Yeah, you're right. That is how you have to. That is how the law is. It is not a question of your interpretation or my interpretation. That is how the law is.
So
the government has got a right.
If I escape by public support, you do this show. Come whatever may, we are there with you. Government, if it backtracks when they come to know, the entire public is behind DRTSPR channels. So the next moment, through this new telecommunication, the other side of that law, they will say that they are going to erect a tower, or a duct has to pass through my property from where I am doing these shows regularly. So they will demolish my house.
Right. Unfortunately, yes. That is a law.
What to say now? So this is what is all about, to make you to understand, my dear press. मित्रों, कहाँ हो आप, क्या कर रहे हो? आप देखिए किस तरह ये नई कानून लाई गई टेलीकॉम पॉलिसी, जिससे हमारी स्वतंत्रता जो है वो खत्म हो जाएगी। कोई मुद्दे पे अगर बात करने की अगर सरकार सोचती है तो वो बंद कर सकती है चैनल और आपके ऊपर कार्रवाई कर सकती है। वो ही नहीं, अगर ये चल के चलो, जब जन हित में पूरे सारा जन आपके साथ है, आपके शो के साथ है, तो ये नई और एक ये ड्रैकोनियन टेलीकॉम पॉलिसी की दूसरी तरह और एक मोड है, वहां पर आपके जहां से आप ये शो कर रहे हैं, एक टेलीकॉम अधिकारी आके ये कहेगा कि ये नया लाइन आपके घर के अंदर से जाएगा या ये नया टावर आपके घर पे ऊपर आएगा, इस तरह आपको बर्बाद भी कर सकते हैं, आपको कुछ करने ही नहीं देंगे। तो आप जागो, जागो भारत, wake up India or Bharat. Otherwise, everything is gone. You have to suffer along with you. The kith and kin in the future, they will become totally enslaved. Only that 1% of the population, they will start ruling as is happening in USA and Europe. At least there they are trying to come out now. As Mr. Ravichandran clearly said, 6 states have started to sue that, what is that company? Pfizer company.
Pfizer.
On vaccine side effects, adverse effects. That is the latest news which we are going to give you. Will that happen in India? So what is your last comment, sir? Passing on comment before we say bye.
The wheel of karma goes around. What goes around will come around. Today, yes, you have passed a law, fine. Tomorrow it will come back and bite you. When it bites you, you will please remember DRTSPR channel.
And Ravichandran Swaminathan ji. A disclaimer. so many disclaimers because of the new Telecom Act.
Law.
So that is what the show is all about. We leave it to the ignorant who still say this government is doing really good for the majority who have voted them. Open up, because tomorrow your house may be under the grueling, compelled voluntarily surrender. You have to surrender. They will break your house. That's what Mr. Ravichandran clearly says. That is how the new law is all about. Am I right, sir? They can invade.
Yeah, you're right.
Invade. They can invade your privacy through this bill. They can invade your house for the sake of erecting either a tower or passing a duct. Necessarily, everyone knows how harmful these radiations are. How harmful these radiations are. They are not healthy at all. Still, this new law will force you to compelled voluntarily to surrender or yield, whether you suffer ill health effects or whether you dash. He clearly says this is the karma. Should we live like this? Should we allow these things to be dictated by a faceless bureaucrat who is not accountable, who is unelected? He is dictating terms to those elected because education really matters. Because education really matters when it comes to making policies and getting them passed on the Lok Sabha or floor of parliament through proper discussions. Only then you will understand whether it is draconian or really in public interest. Otherwise, Babus will control, and this democracy will never survive as it should have been, as it was being. It will become a faceless bureaucrats dictated democracy. Should we live like that, or we should uphold our constitution, stating that we are a constitution? Who the hell you are? You are a public servant. Anything in public interest, kindly discuss right from panchayat to municipalities, assembly, parliament. We will all be there with you. That is what transparency and accountability is always. Discuss anything good. We don't mind. Debate. We don't mind. We may differ. Ultimately, the people participatory constitutional democracy